see the game on Monday night?
Ear darn tootin', I saw the game on Monday night. I can't do it. I just I don't know where that came from, but yeah, we ripped some eye patches off on Monday Night Football, especially in the first half.
And if you think for 1 second that we moved on from the game and not going to talk about it after this intro, you're sadly mistaken, Raiders fans.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Touchdown, San Diego! Woo!
And we're back. Welcome to Nuts and Bolts. This is going to be the Raider Slander episode / the Week 5 preview we got coming up with the Cleveland Browns this weekend. We are focused on the Cleveland Browns, don't get me wrong, but we haven't got a chance to really talk about the Raiders game yet. Tony, initial thoughts. I have a video to play that I put together, but what's your initial thoughts on the game?
My initial thoughts were pretty much the same before they headed in, right? That in the first half, the Raiders aren't very good. And that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. The Raiders are a good team. They're not a great team. And the 3-0 record suggested that they were a great football team. And in the first half, and with all we have all this, because I want to get into this. There were some people who had some overly harsh comments for Joey Bosa's post-game press conference. And first of all, I thought that's what we liked about athletes actually getting to the mic and talking a little trash and saying some stuff. But whatever. We'll get to that in a second. It was supposed to be a home game for them, and they score nothing in the first half of the football game. Completely shut down. Now they're banged up and they have injuries or whatever, but nothing really changed. Will it be a competitive game later when we go to Allegiant Stadium? Sure, it will. It's a good football team. It's not great. So all the people that came and said, oh, the Raiders looking like this last time they went to the Super Bowl III, and I'm like, okay, fine. They still had to go, and they still had to play against a quarterback who's ascending and a defense that is for real. And we didn't whop them. Whop them. That's what
I don't want to hear from Raiders fans about Chargers fans anymore. You guys can just shut the fuck up with that, honestly. And excuse my language. But first of all, you guys talk about our quantity of fans and how we have a low number of fans. We understand we're a small community. We were a team that played for the city of San Diego for 50 years. I mean, come on now. All right. So that is already a thing. The whole fan base is in San Diego. It's tough for them to travel to SoFi Stadium. And I went to the Monday Night Football game. It's not cheap. Just saying it right now. The parking itself is more than the tickets were to go to Qualcomm. So it's pretty insane, actually. So I already don't want to hear anything about that because at the game, yes, there were much more Raiders fans than Chargers fans. There were a lot of Chargers fans to a point where the Chargers fans did force a timeout on a big third down early on in the game because Derek Carr couldn't get the play call out. But all those Raiders fans, when they went down 28-14, they were about to get the ball back. They were literally about to get the ball back with a chance to maybe go and respond and probably have to kick an onside kick or maybe just get a 3-and-out. Or it was low chances they were going to come back, but the game wasn't over. There was 4 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game, and all of the Raiders fans got up from their seats and walked out. And
what?
They were leaving the stadium. I do not want to hear a single thing about fans again because that is the cheapest thing ever. And I've even posted videos about it, and the Raiders fans are coming into the comment sections. And they're saying, well, we just wanted to beat, the rush with the parking. You want to beat your own rush? You blacked out SoFi. You want to leave before your own people? What? That doesn't make any damn sense to me. You stay until the game is over. And as far as I'm concerned, if you leave the game early just because your team's getting blown out and you only want to be there to see them succeed and you're not willing to be there to see them fail and support them in failure, you are not a true fan of that team. And all those Raiders fans, which was hundreds and thousands of Raiders fans, you could see it throughout the entire stadium after the Chargers scored that fourth touchdown. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight. I felt like the heavens opened up, even though there was a dome on a weather-delayed game. But that's a whole other topic to talk about. But I was super happy. But to see all those Raiders fans leaving, even Joe Morley, who was there with me, a fellow Raiders fans, was disgusted And I was disgusted. And I was not disgusted because it happened, because I know it's something that happens in sports. I was disgusted because you guys talk so much crap about our fans. But our fans wouldn't do that. We would stay right there in that seat. I would have stayed there until after the game if it was reversed and the Chargers were getting blown out. And I've done it before. Trust me. Many times, actually. So that's my rant on the Raiders fans. And speaking of the Raiders fans, we've had a few on this network say some pretty bold things over the last week, and they think that we're not going to bring it.
We talk. Okay, the Chargers defense suck, okay?
Justin Herbert. Am I worried about Justin Herbert? No, because Justin Herbert is still in his sophomore slump. Josh Jacobs, 120, 3 touchdowns.
Derek Carr, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I thought you were going to say Vince Caiano was going to win the game for you guys.
Daniel Carlson has hit his last 6 from 50+. This from 52 is no good.
Okay. Raiders, 35. Chargers, 28.
It was 36-27 Raiders.
Okay, that's the first time that I got to watch that. Very well done, Mike.
Thank you. And I thought about putting music there, but I feel like it had a little bit more effect, especially for the stat thing with Josh Jacobs. I should have put cricket chirps or something.
Oh, that was rough. That was rough to watch. I'm glad we're not on that end of the predictions.
They don't got the creativity to put a video like that together, so I had no fear.
Well, they also took the L.
Yeah.
So you're not going to put together a montage of your bad predictions.
Yeah, they looked at me crazy when I said the Raiders were going to get blown out. And you said the fact at the beginning of the show. The reason for me feeling that is because I thought the Raiders were pretenders. And I still think that the Raiders are pretenders. I actually have them losing this weekend. All right. You want to talk about Joey Bosa? We can talk about our players now. I have the video queued up if you want to hear exactly what he said and talk about it for a sec before we get into the Browns.
Yeah. Play the video, and then I want to talk about it.
All right, let's do it.
Was that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for you? I didn't even know they called the penalty on me because I was fuming, but, I mean, refs are blind. Simple. I'm sorry, but you're blind. Like, open your eyes and do your job. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. I mean, look at the play. Sack, game over, 15 yards. It's a big deal. Obviously, that's on me. I should never lose my control like that. But these guys have got to do a better job because it's been years of terrible, terrible missed calls left and right. It's really pathetic, honestly. But pathetic on me, too, for doing what I did. Call or not, I have to take a step back and just go to the next play. But, man, they just seem to not even have their eyes open half the time.
Okay. That's not even the soundbite that I want to talk about because, and I agree with him. The refs are horrible. But in that same press conference, he talked a little smack about Derek Carr. He said when we get pressure on him, he turtles. We knew this about him. It's sort of like his thing. And the people were coming out and saying he was overly harsh. He shouldn't have said that about Derek Carr. He didn't need to. Here's the thing. The whole week leading up, Derek Carr was like smug and smiling about how it was a home game. And he's lucky and happy that they get all this love and attention when they come to Los Angeles. And then they come down here, they catch a beat down. He doesn't play like the top whatever top 5 quarterback that he's claiming to be. He gets to talk all this smack. And then after the game, we ask our athletes to not just be like, oh, yeah, well, it is what it is. Here's the thing. They kind of go over all the little, like, you know, all the BS statements that they give us. He actually says, this is what we think of Derek Carr, or at least what I think of Derek Carr as the quarterback. He didn't give us just a platitude. He gave us, here's what I think of him. I got to watch him all week long smile smugly about how they were 3-0 and they were riding high. They get thumped. This is what he says. I have no problem with it. He didn't call him like a chicken. He didn't challenge. He said, this is what happens to Derek Carr when this happens. And
he should call him a chicken. That's what he should have done.
And he wasn't wrong about it. And there was a few like people that came on and they were like, absolutely disrespectful how Bosa would speak of another player. No, it's not. How is it not disrespectful? Like I took it as Bosa sticking up for us after Derek Carr was basically talking shit to Chargers fans. Mm-hmm. So as far as I'm concerned, thank you, Joey Bosa. Get to the microphone and talk like that, and I got your back. I don't care.
Exactly. And he was speaking facts. I mean, Carr looked rattled the entire game. They weren't pushing the ball down the field the entire game. And I thought at first, I was like, this is interesting because I thought the first quarter, after it was over, I even told Joe, I'm pretty sure, I was like, are they just like feeling us out? Because they can't do anything. At halftime, they had 50 yards. After all that talk about the best passer in the football right now, you had the most yards in football, and you come out and you drop 49 yards, like 25 yards passing and 20 yards rushing. I mean, are you kidding me? In the first half, and down 21 zip at halftime in front of your home crowd because it's always a home game for you? I mean, come on now. You do deserve a little bit of a lash back from a Chargers player like that. The coaches should have said something. I would like to see, maybe not Brendan Staley, Ronaldo Hill, our defensive coordinator, should have went out there and said something on the podium or something like that also. Same old sports say that's true about every single quarterback. Yeah, I mean, it's true that the game plan is to get pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz all of your linebackers and coverage guys. That's kind of the name of the game when it comes to the defense side of the ball at all levels of football. But some quarterbacks do handle it better than others. Let's not sit here and pretend like Herbert didn't have the worst O-line last year and broke every record in the book under pressure every single play, making crazy throws. So different quarterbacks react differently. And basically he was saying Carr tends to just kind of go down and preserve the ball, which is something that's been a complaint of him not opening up his whole career.
Yeah. Derek Carr mentioned something about how they didn't get to certain plays. They were like, just because of the game script and flow and whatever. And in my head, it's like, well, feel free to skip ahead. If you had some stuff that you thought was going to work, but you didn't get to it because the other stuff wasn't working, then that's on you and your coaching staff for not making that adjustment and saying like, hey, we have things we think might work. We need to get to them before the 60 minutes of football runs out, not save them for when we see them at Allegiant Stadium or next week or whatever it is. Because apparently they game plan for things they thought would work that they didn't even end up getting to use. I just don't like it that for a whole week, nobody called Derek Carr out for all the cockiness that was in his press conference about Chargers fans and how big of a home game this was for him and how wonderful it was for them to get it. And then Joey Bosa says something about him in the heat of competition after a big win, division win, Monday Night Football. Like to move to the top of the division after we heard Raiders praise for the whole week. So I'm fine.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I saw Raiders praise all week, and the Chargers were favored because they were technically at home, but all the talk was about the Raiders throughout the whole week. But then on Monday night, when I looked at every expert's prediction, they took the Chargers to win. So the whole narrative was weird. It was like a let's hype up the Raiders, even though we know they aren't quite there to beat the Chargers here in this game. But anyways, and then talk about the refereeing has been interesting. And Bosa's probably frustrated because he has the hindsight of seeing a game taken away from him this year already. This team would be undefeated if it weren't for bad refereeing in that Cowboys game. And he saw them almost take away another game from us this season already. So to see it again in this game kind of boils over. And he gets upset. And this is an idea I have, and I brought it up to Joe and Juan when they were on their show. Why don't the refs have to face the media after a game?
You know what? That's actually a really good point. I would love for them to get a microphone in their face and say, hey, what were you thinking when this happened? And you went to a hood. You went underneath and looked at it closely for 4 minutes. Well, we all got another beer, ate another nacho, waited thinking, well, they're seeing the same thing that 99% of the people are seeing. And then you come back with a call that's like inexplicable. I would love for them to have to explain that. And I think that they would be a little more accountable. I missed Secret Waffle. I saw him in the chat last night. Secret Waffle. Thank you.
This is Tony Secret Waffle. I was talking a lot of mess about Tony's Seahawks prediction. So here's the man himself. But yeah, that's the thing. Because like Derek Carr has to answer questions. Why did you try and pick on Derwin James, at the end of a game in a key moment and then just got intercepted like a little boy that you are? But the refs don't have to answer those same questions when they, call an incomplete pass, a clear incomplete pass, a fumble after review.
No, I agree. And thank you, Same Old Sports. I see you in there. Yes.
I want to hear the ref's explanation of that sack on Herbert versus the Cowboys. I've seen that 10 times since then, and that's not been called a sack.
Oh, it's not been called a sack. They've given forward progress on touchdowns, on first downs, on all this stuff. Yes, we've seen it a bunch go the other way, and for whatever reason, it was called in that way. But I want to say this, just as much as I don't like the calls the other way. I was in my living room. It was on the live stream. You can go back and check it. I didn't like the call on Darren Waller. That you cannot call him for taunting or excessive celebration. That's not a penalty. That shouldn't have hurt the Raiders. Like they should have been able to get that gain, get up and spike the ball. Because he spiked the ball on touchdowns. He spiked the ball on first downs after that. Like you can't just pick and choose when you're going to penalize a team. And I mean, I got the fantasy points for Darren Waller and the Raiders got backed up. So it was a personal victory for me, but I still don't like it. It shouldn't have been called on Darren Waller. The refs are absolutely atrocious on all levels. Stop taking the fun out of it. This is entertainment. Nobody shows up for you guys. Nobody shows up for the refs. I don't want to know your name.
And I know all their names, unfortunately. There's even been a bunch of calls that were like it's in the fourth quarter and it feels like that was let slid, whether it's pass interference, defensive holding, offensive holding, that was let slid all game long. But in the key moments, it seems that it's being called all of a sudden, which I don't like thinking this way. As a football fan, they got to fix it because I'm starting to think this way, and a lot of other people are going to start to think this way. Is there any kind of control to it? And I don't even want to talk about it, but just it's in my head. It's in my head. If there's any kind of switch that's flipped in the fourth quarter or late in games.
I think the NFL is going to have to realize we cannot be policing celebration. We can't be policing the side of the game because we all want to see. I want to see Darren Waller be excited after a big play. I want to see anybody be excited after a sack, after an interception. I don't want defenders nodding their head after a big play and then the ref is like, "That's excessive celebration for nodding your head." What if he's trying to get his neck right? You don't know what's going on. Now, I don't think that's what was going on in that Seahawks game a few weeks ago. But, I mean, Seahawks defensive backs rarely make good plays. Please allow them to celebrate. They don't have to celebrate. They suck. We saw it last night. Secret Waffle said something about Russ's finger. I can't look at stuff like that. You guys know how.
Oh, yeah, I think it was crooked.
It was just disgusting.
Joe's bringing this up. Mike, what about the ref that reached for the flag and said, nah? Yeah, it was later in the game. In garbage time, I think one of the drives that Derek Carr was trying to come back down 2 scores, like with a couple minutes left in the game, the clock's ticking. There was a deep down the field pass, and one of our DBs defended it. I forget who it was. It wasn't ASJ or it wasn't Michael Davis. It was one of the backup guys. And I saw the ref trying to reach for her flag to throw a pass interference on us. And then she couldn't get it out, so she just kind of continued on.
Well, then she's got to throw her hat or she's got to throw something.
There was no penalty. And I thought it was PI. And I saw it, and I saw her reaching for it, and I already leaned to Joe and be like, she's about to throw the flag. And we both see her going like this, and then she just kind of blows the whistle and continues on.
It might have been on Adderley or Webb.
I think it was Adderley. It was Adderley.
Because I remember thinking the same thing. I remember looking around and just being like, no flag. I didn't notice the ref, but I did notice. I remember there being a play, and I was like, I can't believe there's not pass interference on that play. We've celebrated enough. We've tortured the Raiders fans enough. We're gonna see them again. We're gonna get another chance to do this when we go to Vegas, and we double down and we bet on blue.
I want to get a Raiders jersey just to when we beat them like this, just to dance on it, or maybe throw it around, wash my car with it or something, and make a viral video out of it. Anyways, let's move on. Move our focus. Excited about the Raiders win, but we got a much tougher opponent this weekend. A much, much, much tougher opponent, an actual opponent, someone that I'm actually worried about going against, not the Raiders. Never worried about them. Here's the injury report for the game against the Cleveland Browns, and you see on the Chargers side, nothing, Tony. Like, we are very, very healthy going into this game. Chris Harris Jr. practiced for the first time in the last couple of weeks in full capacity, and he is expected to make his return on the field on Sunday versus the Cleveland Browns. Justin Jackson, our second running back, or kind of turned into our third running back, he didn't practice Thursday. He's being labeled as questionable to play with a groin injury, and we know how those can be, so that's kind of tough. He might not be there, but that just opens the door for Larry Roundtree to get some more action, which he's been very good in so far. I'm waiting for him to make a mistake, like a big mistake, and he just keeps trucking along and is turning into our power back, which is interesting. And you liked him in the preseason too, so it's good to see him getting out there.
Yeah, no, I think that K9's not on here, and I'd like to see him get healthy. Like, I really want Kenneth Murray out there getting reps in this Brandon Staley defense, because I think that's just one more weapon that once he figures out the assignments and everything, like, he's going to be a very productive player for the Chargers. It'll be interesting to see if Jackson doesn't go. Does Josh Kelly get to come up, or do they put Bradwell? Like, who's been playing better? Because we don't get to see the practice squad sort of depth chart. Like, who would be that next guy?
Yeah.
Because you already know how I feel about Josh Kelly, and I would be perfectly fine if he doesn't just dress up for a game. And if he does, I will be hoping that he does something with the limited touches he would see. This would increase an opportunity for Roundtree as I think that we get into this game. There is going to need to be some tough yards that are picked up, because they're going to have to run the football to slow down that pass rush a little bit, unless they're going with sort of extended run plays like the quick screens, or actually design screen passes to Ekeler in this game. I'm also expecting to see something they haven't done since maybe week 1 or 2, where they're lining up Keenan Allen or Guyton or one of these receivers in the backfield and having them sort of then disguised where they're leaking out to and stuff like that.
Justin Herbert's in the chat. He said, "Tranquil gang." Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. We're big fans of yours.
Yes, you're playing amazing.
He's playing, his sophomore slump's going so amazing right now. But, it's doing well. I overall, just see it so clean. Yeah, and I think the coaches kind of agree with you on Joshua Kelly based off what we've seen. Zero talk about him. Zero talk. Zero mentioning of his name. Commentary and people aren't even talking about him, and they do a bunch of research for games, and it's just like, Kelly might just get phased out completely.
Well, I don't think he's dressed for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe even at all this season. I like this shout out for Tranquil, though. I appreciate this.
Yeah, and those two guys played amazing against the Raiders, and they're going to be key this week again. Just to point it out, the guys on IR are not on here. So Bulaga, Kenneth Murray, Ryan Smith, those guys are not going to be on this report each week, just because they're not going to play for another 2 or 3 weeks at the very minimum, maybe even longer. Let me get this banner off so we can read this lengthy report on the Browns. All right, so the Browns have some injuries, Tony. I don't know if you've noticed. Odell, he's going to play. He fully practiced. But JaDeveon Clowny did not practice. Jack Conklin had a limited practice. Tony Fields the second, not sure who that is. He had a limited practice. Myles Garrett, he had a limited practice due to rest, so he's good. That's not a name to worry about, but the rest of these guys are a little scary. Chris Hubbard did not practice. Troy Hill, limited practice. McKinley, another depth pass rusher for them, which is a key this week, did not practice. Greg Newsome did not practice. David Njoku did not practice. Malcolm Smith did not practice. J.C. Treader, their starting center, did not practice. All this was for Thursday, too, so yesterday. Denzel Ward had a limited practice, and Jedrick Wills did not practice. So their whole line basically didn't practice because of injuries. And I want to point out something key. For like 5 out of those 10 players I just listed, which are all big players on their team, they had limited practices on Wednesday and did not practice on Thursday. It's almost like these guys are hurt and they tried their best on Wednesday and then they realized they can't practice. So, I mean, even if half of those names are out, that's some big players in there.
Broad, dude. When I look at it, I think that there is a real movement to resting more this season, right? And limited practices, did not practices, no tackling in practice. And we saw the effects on that early on with some of the defensive play or whatever. But even now, like with the offensive line, like if that is your signature calling card, like we're seeing more limited or did not practice for certain offensive lines. They know what they're supposed to do. They know their assignment. And it's a big week for them, especially with the Baker Mayfield. I know it's a non-throwing shoulder, but you don't want him in the pocket with Bosa and Nwosu and Tranquil and what's his name? Tillery.
Yeah, he's been balling.
He looked like a monster last game.
That's what we want him to be. He's a first-round pick. I know it was like a 29th pick a couple years ago, but he was a first-round pick. Like, he has potential.
Yeah, so you don't want Baker having to drop back a bunch. We're going to get in there. We appreciate that.
Yeah, this is a live stream thing, bro, dude. So come on back and tell us that you subscribed again when we're live. And this is a fantasy football question, Odell, but we're not going to put too much attention towards it. But yeah, I agree. Like some of these could just be cautious, not practicing because of rest, because maybe they are a little banged up and they just want an extra day to heal. But it's just so many names. It still is something to talk about.
Yeah, I think that when we look back on this game, these are the kind of like last week against the Raiders, this week, the game against the Chiefs. This is 3 weeks in a row where it's like AFC teams that are all going to be fighting for playoff contention, right? These are games that you need to win because when we look back, it's like, oh, if we could have just got that game, we would get the better playoff seeding. We might get the home game, whatever it is. You want to have that edge over Cleveland. You want to have that edge over the Ravens, Titans, Colts, like those teams that you're fighting with. So this is a huge game to get, not just to go to 4-1 and still be at the top of the division, but the end of the year, if you're fighting for that little bit of playoff seeding, that's what you're trying to get over the ground.
It's also something to note. This was the hardest part of our schedule, these first 5 weeks, because we play 6 weeks, I should say. We play Cleveland and we play Baltimore. That is a stretch where we have played the 3-0 Raiders, who I think at the end of the year we're going to look back on it and be like, oh, that was not as impressive win as it used to be. The Chiefs, the Browns, the Cowboys. Washington even has a tough defense to open up the season, and you saw what their offense did just against the Atlanta Falcons. And then you add in the Ravens also. If we come out of that with only 1 or 2 losses, like, look out, because the rest of our season are some cookie-cutter teams.
Yep. We got
the Jaguars and the Giants and the Vikings and stuff like that.
The Patriots game is looking a little different. Well, I'll be cheering for the Bills on Sunday Night Football. We will have a Sunday Night Football stream. I will be hosting that. Looking forward to it. Plan on definitely going through my coffee table if you knock the Chiefs down to 2-3. But yeah, and Jake jumped in here. Appreciate Jake jumping in the stream. This Browns team too. This is another thing about the Chargers is like, can you be the kind of team that stacks wins on top of wins against good football teams? You've seen that in the past. That is one of the things that made the Patriots run, that to be able to sustain greatness week after week. Like teams are coming in here and giving you their best shot. You want to see, like, can the defense after, a great week be great again and be able to switch it up. Last week, it was a passing attack. This week, it's going to be the Browns run game. Can you shut down, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and all that offensive line that's just going to want to be trying to roll downhill? I'm excited. I'm already like ready to go for this game, like jumping up and down.
Speaking of defense, let's talk about these X factors, Tony. Here's yours. You were telling me the O-line versus the Browns D-line. What do you think?
Yes. So I want to focus on both defensive lines, which internally is the offensive lines on both sides. But can this line be able to withstand the pass rush? Two great pass rushers. Now, I think that last week's challenge, I think those pass rushers are good. I think that Crosby is much better than Ngakoue is. Like, Ngakoue wouldn't be on team number 4 in like 3.5 seasons if he was that kind of player. Somebody would have locked him up. I mean, the Ravens are notorious for defense. I think he had a stop with the Vikings. They have a defensive head coach. If he was that guy, somebody would have said, come back over here, right? But I do think Max Crosby is a pass rusher that is going to have a very nice career in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But Clowny, who has underperformed his draft position, sometimes I think we look back, and since he is not Myles Garrett or he is not J.J. Watt, we think he's a disappointment. He's still a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
Had he been picked at number 30, you would think, oh, wow, he was a good first-round pick. Being picked number 1 overall makes him kind of look like a bust. But if the offensive line can hold up and give Herbert enough time to be able to deal in this situation, because again, good defensive backs, good pass rush. That's why we saw the Browns defense come on. We saw what they did to Kirk Cousins last week. Now Herbert needs to say, hey, this is why I'm at that next level, is because I can deal with this pass rush and I can make smart decisions. I can take calculated risks and hit my guys. I think that we also have, like, people looked at Keenan's numbers last week and they were like, oh, well, what's wrong with Keenan? No. Keenan won his matchups and was there to get positive gains for the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Not every week is going to be 95 yards on 7 catches. Some weeks they're just going to be, hey, we stayed in front of the chains. We didn't make costly penalties. So it's, that's a matchup that I'm going to see. Can they withstand that pass rush from the Browns?
Yeah, and I've got so much confidence. If we went into this game last year, I'd have zero confidence. But I have so much confidence in it because of this, because Staley is a man with a plan, because Lombardi is a man with a plan. We are seeing an offense that is orchestrated like an NFL elite offense. And that's not something we've seen before. We've kind of just seen like whatever play calling in the past, where it's like it seems like they're dealing with each situation as it happens. But what I'm seeing now is plays that are being ran to set up other plays on 3rd down, to set up other plays on 4th down, to set up other plays when we need a conversion. Like we have already ran this play to set up the other one. And like that Steven Anderson play, like Keenan Allen going into the backfield on 3rd down in that one game. I think it was against the Cowboys or Washington. Like using Jared Cook in those key situations. Jared Cook, I was watching his routes on a specific drive. He didn't run a single route on that drive that he caught a touchdown that was more than like 5 yards down the field. But then in the red zone, they had him run one down the field. They set it up. They made them start focusing on other areas. They made him try and stop the run, which ends up leading to Jared Cook being wide open, them kind of forgetting that, you know, he's not a superstar tight end, but he's been in this league for this long for a reason. He's been this loyal to the Saints offense and been a big part of it for this long for a reason. And that's why I love to see. We do look like an offense that can go for 5,000 yards passing every year consistently.
Oh, I definitely agree. I just want to say something about that Anderson play design that I love so much. When people see Anderson in the backfield now, they're not only going to respect that play, but then let's say if you add the wrinkle of putting Guyton on that side and just running a go route, but Anderson then breaks to that next level, does the same thing, and maybe you can even like have an outlet of squirting Ekeler or whoever out into the flat in case Guyton doesn't come open. But if that DB reads like, oh, they're doing that play to Anderson again, I need to jump up and do that. And now all of a sudden you get Guyton, Josh Palmer, streaking down the sideline for their first NFL touchdown, wearing number 5, rocking that blue this Sunday. But I just think that like you get to add another wrinkle of those plays of having, like, I love Gabe Neighbors, but like, why not do that? Like, why not like have a big guy that can be a lead blocker also schemed up in the passing game? It's just such a beautiful play.
Yeah, and the improvement with the offensive game plan is why I have this as an X factor also. I have the same exact thing. I think that this game is won, not even necessarily the Chargers O-line versus the Browns D-line, which is very good. And I will say that JaDeveon Clowny is someone that can make plays, but I expect him to make like 1 or 2 big plays in the game. We're not as stressed about him. Our O-line versus Myles Garrett, simply that, plain and simple, both in the run game and in the pass game, because he's going to be rushing, and I love what Slater's done so far. Like, he has even exceeded expectations so far this year, to a point where, like, with the quarterback struggling so much, is he in the conversation for Rookie of the Year as a tackle? That's how good he's been. He's still a rookie. I still have that hindsight. And he's done very good against Max Crosby, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, whoever they had, DeMarcus Lawrence. Myles Garrett is a different animal. Those guys are good players in the league right now. Myles Garrett is a good player if you measure him to all time. So this is a whole different challenge for Slater and a whole different challenge for Storm Norton. So I am worried about him just completely taking over the game. But like I was saying, I have so much confidence in the offensive game plan, so much more than last year, that they're going to figure it out. And what Herbert did last year with a lot of pressure in his face, he made it work. And why would that be any different? He's even better this year. So I have confidence in the offense. I have confidence in the offense to a point that I'm ready to drop my score prediction. 31-21 Chargers.
Ooh, another game under 24 points by this defense.
Yeah, and I think it could be like some garbage time is how they get to that 21 because they're going to run the ball. Let's not get that mistaken. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to be good at running the ball. But what are they going to do when they get down and the Chargers say, well, you can't run the ball now. You don't got the space anymore. We're here in the red zone. You got to throw it. How's Baker going to do in that situation? I think we're going to see a little bit of struggle there.
I would love to see if Justin Jones is back. I think what's his name? Joseph has played, quite well in the middle there. Covington has played nice. So like that is the other thing that I'm a little worried about is like, are they going to say, hey, we're going to put you in man coverage and we're going to assume that we're going to win the majority of these matchups against Higgins or Donovan People-Jones, or like, what is he going to do with Derwin James this week? Like, how is he going to use him? Is he going to use him as sort of an extra backer to help with that run rushing attack? Because if they can shut that down, if they can get a lead and make it that way, Mike, I could see it definitely being like 30-10 headed into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In favor of because like if they can't run the ball and now all of a sudden you're saying Baker needs to go out there and sling against this defense, I like this secondary a lot that we put together. Psycho's getting his predictions in here. I am going with my score prediction a bit closer than that because I am a bit fearful of that run game, but I have a 20-17 Chargers victory in this one. And it's not on the foot of our guy, this guy, that's going to win the game. It is more on the fact that like it's a late scoring drive by Herbert in a stadium that I expect to be a little bit more Chargers friendly this weekend.
I'll be there.
Mike will be there. Brother-in-law. There'll be a lot of powder blue this weekend for the game. And yeah, I got 20-17 Chargers going to 4-1. Again, I like Herbert to have another very productive game, throwing a couple touchdown passes. And Mike Williams taking advantage of his size in this game, right? Some back shoulder throws to him, moving the chains that way. And maybe
all their DBs are banged up too. All their DBs are on that injury report.
Yeah, I like an opportunity of them trying to like run, whether it's Roundtree or Ekeler, whatever it is, and then deep shot, Guyton, Palmer. Yeah. One of these. If Herbert hits those deep shots against the Raiders, like that would have been a lot uglier. Like we're talking 42-14 or something crazy if he hit some of those deep shots that he missed. He missed one to Mike Williams that was like in there where I was like, oh, he was so close to just being. Yeah, he missed one to Keenan too. It wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it would have brought them down to around the 15-yard line with, all the confidence in the world at 21-0 and the ball in the third quarter right there. You see the Browns 17-10. If we lose to the Browns, it's going to be more like a 27-20. That we are definitely scoring more than 10 points, Psycho. I think you need to go and check out the Chargers offense. In the 19 games that Herbert's been in charge of this offense as a rookie and sophomore quarterback, the Chargers have scored less than 14 points once against the Patriots last year. That's the only time it's happened. In I think about 10, 12, if I'm really looking at it with a microscope, maybe even more than that, they've scored more than 20. Like this Chargers offense is not a joke. Like this is a more realistic if the Browns are going to win. And I think that the score is going to be like this, whether the Chargers or Browns win. I got the 31-21 because I think some garbage time might come in it if we get up big, but we'll see. We'll see. What are you talking about? Steak? Steak? I like secret waffles. Same old said that he is opening a restaurant, free food on the house for all Chargers fans or something like that. FLK positive comments about the Chargers. It looks like in here. And here's the thing with the Browns winning. Like you said, it's more the other way. It's more of a higher scoring game to me if the Browns are coming out on top of this, that they're being able to put up points on the board. But if this is a defensive controlled game, field position, whatever else, I'll take the Chargers at home in that scenario. But we get to watch it. I'm excited. 105 kickoff for us. I'm so glad this game isn't in Cleveland. I'll be fully jacked on espresso by the time they kick the ball off.
I'm super glad also. And I'm not trying to take any kind of shots at the Browns offense. I respect that run game more than anything. But to think that they only scored 14 points in the Vikings last week, like, we have a much better defense than the Vikings.
It's not that. That's not even close.
Yeah. Here we are.
And I also think we have a better offense than them too. Like, Delvin Cook was banged up in that game, which didn't really serve them well. But I mean, still, you gotta come away with more than 7 points in that football game, because I believe that was in Minnesota too. Like, that was a home game for them. This is the second week in a row the Browns will be on the road. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it's.
I was telling my buddy that's a tough trip. They have to go Minnesota Sunday night to Cleveland, probably practice for 2 or 3 days, then start packing up and getting ready to do their walkthroughs maybe today or yesterday, and fly to LA. So in a 7-day period, they're going from Minnesota to Cleveland to LA back to Cleveland. That's a tough trip for guys that have to be at a peak of rest and performance. And same old sports. If you look hard enough and you find videos, just don't share them and watch them to yourself. There was reaction to this game. Trust me, they're out there. I don't respect Baker. Not that I don't respect Baker. I like Baker. I think Baker is going to have a nice career in the NFL, and he's going to be a guy like Kirk Cousins who can definitely be on winning teams, but not necessarily be the reason that they're kind of elevating. That's my thoughts on Baker. I think that he can be an amazing game manager for a long time in this league, and I think the Browns can win the Super Bowl with him if they have a team like they have right now and they're all clicking and he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, in the preseason, I picked the Browns as the team to win, to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. So, like, and my bold prediction of the year was Myles Garrett was going to be MVP. Put together 4.5 sack game the other day. Like, this defense is for real. This team is good. I respect them. 2017 Chargers win. Bolt up. Yeah. Here we go.
It'll be a good game.
AFC. Suck it.
It'll be a nervous game. And I'm going with my longtime friend who I've known for it's getting close to 10 years. No, 7 years. But he's a big Browns fan. And we both were together on that ship when both of our teams were terrible. We were there for the Chargers losing to them and giving them their first win in their 0-14 season. So there's a long history behind this for me personally. Got to win this game.
The sweatshirt that I have on is older than you.
Yeah, probably. That looks like an old sweatshirt.
It is.
You look like you're gonna paint some paintings or something in that sweatshirt. You should have worn the other cap. What are those called?
This was Charger yellow when it was purchased in 1994.
And for Baker's injury, I will say this, guys. If for some reason Baker has come out of that game, Case Keenum isn't going to be too far off. So, I'm not looking at Baker's injury as something that I'm banking on to help us out a ton, because I think that Case Keenum can run this offense also.
Yeah, Case Keenum's fine. 13-3 with them, and he knows Stefanski's offense well. That's why he's there. He was 13-3 at the Vikings. Stefanski was the offensive coordinator. Same old sports. This is a good joke.
Yeah, the original.
Yes,
it was an original.
I was there when that painting was commissioned. That is. I just looked down when you said I've been friends for 10 years, and I looked at my sweatshirt. I was like, I've owned this Izod sweatshirt since I don't know, a very, very long time, since 3rd grade. All right, let's go. Let's stomp these.
Let's call it. Last words, Tony.
Josh Palmer's getting his first touchdown this week.
He's got to. It's time, Josh. It's time to go and get your touchdown, man. Yeah, I hope it's going to be a good game, and it is going to be a good game. Hopefully we come away with the victory. I have confidence we're going to come away with the victory. think that we're the better team, especially when you look at their injury report. But I do definitely respect this team a lot more than the Raiders, and I won't come in here and talk as much mess as I did when we were about to play the Raiders because a lot higher chance for it to backfire on me this time. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you as always. Nuts and Bolts, we're live every week. Friday's kind of been our day, so I'll just go ahead and say we'll be live again Friday around the same time. If you guys want to come on back for Nuts and Bolts next week. Appreciate you guys. Let's go Chargers. Beat the Brownies. If you guys see me there, yell. Yell.